Joining me now, Marc Short. He's the former chief of staff to Vice President Mike Pence, also a CNBC contributor. It's good to see you. Welcome. It's nice
Thanks,
timing
Scott.
to have you.
Thanks, Scott. Good to be here.
I mean, you've been pretty critical, even publicly, of these tariffs. What'd you make of the court ruling?
Well, I think the court ruling Friday night was a good win for taxpayers. I think that everyone knows that in Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution, that our founders clearly designed that the ability to tax the American people belongs to Congress and all of their representatives. And as your viewers know, a tariff is a tax, and it's a tax on American companies and American consumers. I think that big picture, this president and the people in his administration, they're not really fans of wealth of nations. They don't view it as if a free and fair trade, both sides win. They view it as if we're buying goods from any foreign country, that is a net loss. And so therefore they want to eliminate trade deficits, and they're going to use every tool that they can. But I think, what does this mean for markets, Scott? I think the reality is that the president is going to appeal this. I think it's likely the Supreme Court takes it up. It's an important decision. That's going to take several months. And so these tariffs are going to remain in effect. In the meantime, the president will probably ask his team to go back and do investigations under 232 and 301 to begin doing unfair trade practices, national security tariffs, like he did in the first administration. IEEPA, which he used in this case, has never been used for tariffs. It was a statute brought up 50 years ago that doesn't even mention tariffs. And so I think this was always an extraordinary stretch. It was mentioned on occasion in the first administration, but quickly dismissed by staff as something that was far beyond the reach of what the statute allowed. And so I don't think it's a surprise where the courts have landed, but I think you're going to continue to see the protectionist agenda push forward under other avenues.
But you say it could take months now that it's going to go to the court. You just heard, I presume, Eamon's reporting that the president just now in the Oval Office said he's going to ask for a fast track to the Supreme Court, so maybe we're not going to have to wait as long as we once thought.
Well, I'm not a lawyer, but I still think it'll take a little while for the court to decide if they want to take the case. They'll announce taking the case, they'll announce a hearing, and then they'll take time to issue a ruling. So I still think it's going to be several months down the road, Scott, before there's actually a ruling from the Supreme Court, which allows him to keep these IEEPA tariffs in place. But again, it's not as if the Supreme Court rules the same way the appeals court did, or the original International Court of Trade also ruled in the same way. It's not as if this is going to end. They're going to find other avenues to pursue tariffs on the American people.
But do you think there are more rank-and-file Republicans in Congress now who are actually hoping that the Supreme Court rules against the president? Because in some degree, as you lay out, they want their power back, so to speak.
Well, I think partially, Scott. I do think that they've had their power. They've just been reluctant to speak out. I think Republicans don't want to go against President Trump's economic agenda. They don't want to draw the president's ire. They don't want to draw primary opponents. And so, by and large, they've been fearful to speak up, to exert the power that has always been theirs. And so it's not as if it would be restored. Frankly, it is theirs today. And I think that if you pursue the president's very protectionist trade policy, there's always been an avenue of doing that in coordination with Congress. It's not as if you can't do it, even if I might disagree with it. There is a legal way to do it, but it is not a legal way just to exert and say the executive branch has this unilateral authority. That's never the way it was designed by our founders.
You suggest that we're already seeing the repercussions from these tariffs as they filter their way through the economy. In what sense?
Well, I think that to the president's credit, in passing the tax bill and his deregulatory agenda, lowering energy prices, you've not seen a huge spike in inflation. It is a little bit higher, but it's not been a huge spike in that number. I think markets are obviously at all-time highs. But I think some of our biggest retailers in the country have said that they pre-purchased inventory in anticipation of the tariffs. And many of that is running out at this point. So you're beginning to see more and more companies announce increase in prices. That's the biggest retailers. The small businesses are the ones who have felt the impact most, and their bankruptcies are at all-time highs, or at least the highest they've been in 10 years for small companies right now. And I think you're also beginning to see it, Scott, really in the labor market and softness there, because companies are so uncertain as to what is going to be happening in this trade agenda. It makes it very difficult to invest long-term, which really hurts hiring and employment.